right, guys. So, Steve Perry, it's so funny. Literally the other morning, I'm in the kitchen and I'm feeding the dog. I'm feeding my cat. And I said to Al, Steve Perry's put out nothing on social media. There's been zero, nada, nothing. Not that Al really, he's okay with it. He's like, that's your thing, girl. So then all of a sudden he posts a picture of a racehorse. And this is still really, I get it, but I don't know. I would rather see a picture of Steve, to be quite honest, than a picture of a jockey on a racehorse. I'm just throwing it out there. I think the post before that was when Tony Bennett passed away. He paid tribute to Tony, and I think that was on July 21st, if I'm not mistaken. But, it would just be kind of cool to see where Steve is landing, during these stages of life. I think of him with the turkey hat on at Thanksgiving. I think of him signing autographs when he released his Christmas album. I remember these images just like you guys do too. We remember these things because we love him. We love Steve Perry. There's no two ways around it. So, that's cool. He's sharing some information with us, but we want to see you too. We want to see Steve Perry. We want to, say, hey, that's the guy that we're all still madly in love with his voice. We just like it. So anyway, he posts a picture of a racehorse with a person on it, a jockey, because you need someone on it if you're going to race it. You just need that. You just can't send a horse off into the atmosphere and just think it's going to do something, because it's just not. And I must say, I'm still a bit confused. And I know some of you are saying, what is there to be confused about? Clearly, Steve Perry has a horse that's named #Girl Can't Help It. Duh. Hi. I know. But it's not just any horse, it's a racehorse. It's a racehorse. Now, Steve's post, which came out on August 9th of 2023, read, "It looks like a very sexy girl will be running soon at either Del Mar or Santa Anita because #the girl can't help it." Okay. So as you scroll through the comments, of course, you got to read the comments. There are lots and lots more congratulatory ones, even though the post is pretty cryptic, per usual, from Steve Perry. But then there is some comments from fans who are totally against the sport of horse racing. You're going to have a pro and you're going to have a con. It's just always the way, right? Always. Even if Steve just posted a picture of himself with his gray hair. I love your gray hair. Why do you have gray hair? I love your long hair. Why don't you cut your hair? I love your eyelashes. Why don't you put extensions on? There's always going to be a pro and a con. It doesn't matter. You're never going to make everybody happy. Now, there used to be a horse racing track here in Rhode Island called Narragansett Park. And that opened in Pawtucket, Rhode Island in 1936 and became one of the most successful racetracks in the country. Again, I knew none of this. However, I used to go to these places, okay, with my dad. And it was one of the first horse racing tracks to have a photo finish camera, which is pretty dang cool. Again, something, here's Rhode Island horse racing history. And it was also the first track to have a starting gate. What? I know. Come on now, Rhode Island. Seabiscuit broke his 7-race losing streak there, so the track was iconic for its time. No question. And again, my dad took me there as a kid. I vaguely remember that track because my biggest memories, I should say, were at Lincoln Greyhound Park. As dog racing gained popularity over horse racing, and Narragansett Park slowly declined and faded into obscurity. But 2 years before that park closed on June 29th of 1979, on September 2nd of 1977, the Beach Boys performed at the track to over 40,000 people, which still, to this day, remains the biggest concert to ever be held in Rhode Island. I love that. I love this tidbit of information. So we got some horsey history here in Little Rhodey. Come on. Give it up. Give it up for Rhode Island horse racing. Making some history here. This is pretty cool. So back to what fans were saying or have said. Now, many were supportive, some were not, stating that horse racing is cruel. Now, when we think about it, so many things from our childhood have faded away. And to me, the biggest one of the things that have faded away from our childhood is the circus. Come on, right? Now, I'm sure that many of you have been. It was a pastime that started in 1768 and evolved into a very lucrative business, but declined in the wake of animal rights activists and more exposure to how many of these animals were living and being mistreated. Now, remember, some were not, okay? But there were the smaller traveling circuses that the living conditions for these poor animals were just not good. Now, dog racing is only allowed in 5 states with active racetracks, but was banned in most states due to the strain and danger that it puts on dogs. Many dogs had, got broken backs, broken legs from doing the horse racing, never mind everything else that probably went on behind the scenes. Now, will horse racing ever be banned? Because that is still a very big sport. And most say probably not because of the revenue it generates, just like so many other things in our world. So back to Steve Perry and the horse. Now, Steve said many times that he is a big fan of the sport, and I'm still not sure of his involvement. So, of course, I had to dig a little bit. I had to do some Kiki digging. All I could find out about this situation is that Jonathan Mitchell Poole bought the horse named Girl Can't Help It, but I'm kind of thinking that that's not his real name, Jonathan Mitchell Poole. I'm kind of thinking there's no Jonathan Mitchell Poole. I'm just speculating. This is an alleged response. I don't know. But go look up Jonathan Mitchell Poole. There's like nobody. There's really no one named that. So, again, alleged speculation that it could not be the real name of the horse owner because maybe someone didn't want their name being exposed to the public. Could potentially be. I don't know. Harris Farms in Coalinga, California, consigned the horse, and the horse was born on April 25th, 2021, which is kind of cool because that was the day after my birthday, not 2021. I was born way before that, but April 24th is my birthday. And was sold for $7,000 to John Mitchell Poole. John Mitchell Poole. Don't know if there's really a John Mitchell Poole. I mean, there might be. I don't know. So it looks like Girl Can't Help It has not been in any races yet, but this is a thing. And if you don't like horse racing, you do not have to follow along. I kind of feel this way, right? So I'm all about, listen, let's put the positive stuff out there. Not everything is positive. I understand that. I'm a human being. I get it, right? But I also try to live by the rule. For the most part, if you don't have anything nice to say, just don't say it, especially in a public forum. There were some pretty mean comments on there, and I get it. But if you don't agree with it, you don't have to look at it. You don't have to follow along. So, I mean, Steve's got to do something with his free time, right? He's got a lot of free time, and he's got a lot of money. So he's been talking about this for decades, that is a favorite sport for him besides baseball. He likes that too, but he's not going to be a baseball player. I mean, he could probably own a team. I don't know if he wants to. That's a lot of responsibility. You know what I'm saying? A lot of cleaning socks and underwear and stuff. I wouldn't want to do it. So my question to you guys is, I guess, Steve Perry, like, y'all love Steve Perry. We all love Steve Perry. If he's doing something you don't agree with, are you not going to like Steve Perry because he's doing that? I mean, I get if it's something really bad, like we won't even say, but if it's something really bad, I get it. But if you don't agree with horse racing, you don't have to follow those types of posts, right? But I don't think it's a reason to stop liking someone or, because they like a certain sport. Just like politics, we're not getting into that, but that's why we don't talk about politics here. That's why this is not that type of channel. And I don't really talk about politics with anybody except for my best friend. That's about it. Well, and Al. But I'm never going to talk about that in a public forum, ever. It's not happening. It's just, we're not going to get into a debate about it ever because, if I've mentioned things, well, I've mentioned things because they're in the news or whatever. But I know people who have literally stopped talking to other people because they don't agree with their political beliefs. And to me, that's not worth risking a relationship. So just keep these things to myself and yourself, because we're all good people and we all have our beliefs. And really, it's true. I know if I don't like certain posts on social media, I don't yell at people for creating those posts. I just swipe on by. Like Dionne Warwick says, walk on by. You just swipe on by. That could be a song. That could be a song. Thank you. You're welcome for the next $1 million idea. Swipe on by. Just don't pay attention to it. But you don't have to say mean things. You know what I mean? That's all. That's my point. So if Steve Perry was doing something that you didn't agree with, would you stop liking him because of that? Just a question. Let us know in the comments below. We'll see what's next. We'll see if he posts anything else about the horse Girl Can't Help It. And, John Mitchell Poole, whoever you are. I mean, he bought the horse for $7,000. That's a pretty reasonable price. However, the cost, from what I understand, of maintaining a horse is very expensive. Like that's not a I ain't got no money pastime type of thing. That's you got to have a whole bunch of expendable cash type of pastime.